Have you ever been hanging out with your friends and out of nowhere some guy throws out a snarky comment that turns you into a joke? Everyone cracks up. You freeze. Your face goes hot. And here's the most annoying part. On the drive home, your brain finally comes up with the perfect comeback. Too late, man. In that moment, your gut screams, curse him out, or just laugh it off and let it slide. But hold on, that's the dumbest mistake you could make. If you lose your temper, you end up looking bitter and out of control. And if you just laugh it off, you just gave them permission to walk all over you. The turning point happens in the exact few seconds right after that comment gets thrown at you. If you know exactly what to do in that brief moment of silence, you won't just shut down their arrogance, you'll flip the entire power balance in the room instantly. So in the end, what do you actually do when someone deliberately tries to humiliate you in front of a crowd? Welcome back to Dex. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn the tables. No yelling, no losing your cool. Ready to own the room? Let's go. Before we get into the real techniques, there's something you need to understand first. This is a required step. Let's be real, if you don't get this root cause, you'll keep reacting like a puppet on strings forever. When someone calls you out, puts you down, or mocks you in front of a crowd, your brain immediately sends out a red alert signal. Danger, this is a personal attack. They hate me. I need to defend myself right now. That feeling is completely real. It feels exactly like being stripped naked and thrown into a pack of wolves. But here's the harsh truth, and it's going to set you completely free. Most public humiliation stunts actually have nothing to do with you at all. Sounds crazy, right? But you know the psychological phenomenon called projection, right? Picture people who love putting others down as a broken projector. Inside them is a bunch of dark film reels. Low self-esteem, feelings of not being good enough, insecurities they're too scared to face, and a toxic hunger for power. Instead of fixing their own projector, they choose to project those ugly films onto a blank screen. And unlucky for you, in that moment, you're the screen. Think about it. Why don't they mock you when it's just the two of you in a room? Why do they always wait for the moment with the biggest crowd, the most coworkers, the most relatives, to drop that comment? Because they need an audience. Understanding this doesn't mean we have to switch on forgiveness mode, pat them on the head and say, oh, you poor thing, you're only toxic because you're hurting. Not at all. Understanding this is so you can recognize an unbreakable rule. Whoever loses their calm first is the one who loses control of that moment in the room. If you raise your voice and argue back, you've walked right into the trap. If you look down and force a laugh, you've fallen into the trap too. So how do you break their script starting from the very first second? Let's get straight into the first trick. Trick 1, the freeze blink. You know what scares a stand-up comedian into a cold sweat more than anything else? It's not the audience booing. It's when they finish telling a joke and the whole room goes dead silent. Silence that cuts straight to the bone. Silence that makes them realize just how unfunny they were. You're going to use that exact same principle. I call it the freeze blink. The moment that snarky comment ends, your lips will instinctively start to move, ready to snap back, or your eyes will start darting around looking for somewhere to hide. Stop. Don't do anything. Instead, follow this exact sequence. 1. Lock your eyes directly onto the eyes of the person who just spoke. No glaring, no angry staring. Just look straight at them, relaxed and blank. 2. Take a slow, quiet breath through your nose. 3. Blink slowly, once, really slowly. 4. Hold complete silence for exactly 3 seconds. Sounds simple, right? But trust me, those 3 seconds of silence feel like 3 centuries in real life. And it's a psychological weapon with serious firepower. Let's look at what's going on inside the attacker's head in that moment. Like I said, they're starving for your reaction. Your reaction is a dopamine reward for their brain. They've already braced themselves to receive your anger, your tears, or your embarrassment. They've already scripted it out. If they snap back, I'll just laugh it off and say, whoa, why so serious? It was just a joke. But boom, you give them nothing. No fire, no smoke. You suck every last bit of oxygen out of the room. When you use that total silence combined with that piercing stare, the spotlight of attention suddenly spins 180 degrees and points right back at the person who started it. The air turns awkward. Their smug little smirk starts to freeze up. They start wondering, wait, why aren't they reacting? What are they thinking? Did I just mess up? Your calm right now is not a sign of giving in. In the world of nonverbal communication, whoever can hold their silence the longest in the middle of the storm is the one holding all the real power. You haven't wasted a single word, and the other person has already started digging their own hole of embarrassment. Trick 2. Redirect the attention back to them. Most people, when they get humiliated in public, make one fatal mistake. They turn themselves into an isolated victim. They pour all their focus, anger, and attention onto the person who just attacked them, forgetting that there are a dozen other people around watching the whole show. By doing that, you end up tying yourself to the exact stage the other person just built. Don't play by their rules. Use the very same crowd they planned to use to embarrass you. It's time to turn everyone's attention onto them. Right after those 3 seconds of freeze from the first move, slowly take your eyes off that toxic person. Don't look down at the ground, though. Slowly sweep your eyes across the faces of the people sitting at the table or standing around. Remember this. Your eyes should not look pleading or teary, like, "Somebody please say something and save me." No. Your eyes need to look like a scientist studying some strange creature. Relaxed, curious, eyebrows raised just slightly. Then, drop a light comment like you're an outside observer looking at the situation. Did anyone else think that was kind of weird, or was it just me? Or sometimes you don't even need to say a single word. You just glance around once, give a small smirk like, "Well, that's something," and slowly shake your head. Why is this redirect move so devastating? Because you just pulled off a piece of psychological magic. You took down the victim sign hanging on your forehead and put on the observer role instead. You just pulled the entire crowd in to act as the jury. The attacker planned to use the crowd to laugh at you. But with one sentence, you force the crowd to stop and use their own judgment to evaluate that awkward comment. Suddenly, the toxic person becomes the isolated one. The audience is no longer on their side. Every confused, questioning look in the room now lands on the person who just opened their mouth. They tossed you a grenade with the pin pulled. You don't hold on to it. You calmly pick it up, place it right back in their hands, and step back with the crowd to watch it go off. Mastermind? Trick 3. Name it and call it out. This trick might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but trust me, it's one of the most powerful tools you can use. When someone humiliates you in front of others, name exactly what they just did and say it out loud for the whole group to hear. Look them straight in the eye and say something like this. "That sounded like you were trying to embarrass me on purpose. Am I reading that wrong? Why does this matter so much?" When someone deliberately puts you down in public, they're relying on an unspoken agreement within the group. Their script goes like this. Throw out a hurtful comment, let the group sit in awkward silence, and then everyone pretends nothing serious happened just to keep the peace. That toxic person then slides smoothly back into the conversation without facing any consequences at all. They get exactly what they wanted, which is your embarrassment, without paying a single price for it. When you name that behavior out loud, you officially shatter that unspoken agreement. You're basically announcing to the whole room, "I see exactly what just happened. I'm not going to pretend it didn't, and I'm not scared to say it out loud either." Listen, doing this is not overreacting. It's also not you playing the victim. You're simply the one person brave enough to say the truth out loud. The whole room will feel that energy right away. People will respect you for it, even if they don't say it out loud in that exact moment. Naming the behavior is like the final move that puts everything on the record. Now, the other person has no way to deny it. They can't cover it up with the same old line, "Oh, come on, I was just joking." They also can't twist it around and say you're too sensitive. Because you handled it head on and stayed completely calm, the person who looks bad here is definitely not you. It's them. Trick 4, turn away. Sometimes the person who just insulted you doesn't deserve even 1 gram of your attention. Maybe they always act this way. Maybe everyone in the room already knows them well and knows they're just a difficult person. Confronting them or arguing back directly would just be handing them exactly what they're craving. In cases like this, use the turn away move. Here's how it works. The moment they finish talking, look at them for exactly 1 second. Long enough to show you heard the sound, but nowhere near long enough to take it seriously. Then firmly turn away. Turn to someone else in the group and smoothly keep the conversation going like nothing important just happened. You can casually drop a line like, "Anyway, what were you saying earlier?" Or, "Oh, right, I actually wanted to hear more about what you mentioned before." Listen, doing this does not mean you're running away. You're simply taking control of where you choose to put your energy. And where you direct that energy tells the whole room what you actually value. By turning away and confidently continuing another conversation, you're sending a silent message about that insult. This person's attempt to humiliate you was so weak it doesn't even deserve a full response. You're not shutting them out because you're bitter or angry. You're shutting them out with pure indifference. And trust me, there's no punishment on earth more brutal than making someone who's starving for attention feel completely invisible. Trick 5. Respond calmly. Sometimes you just have to say something back. Sometimes the group needs to hear your voice, and you need to show them that you're not the type of person who's easy to push around. If you do have to respond, keep these 3 golden rules locked in your mind. First, keep your voice low and never raise it. Whoever raises their voice first automatically looks like they've lost control. You want your voice to sound steady, clear, almost gentle, so that everyone around you naturally leans in and holds their breath just to hear what you're saying. Second, keep your response extremely short, 1 or 2 sentences at most. A long, dragged-out speech just makes you look like you're puffing up to defend yourself. On the other hand, short, sharp responses are proof of total certainty. Third, don't insult or curse back at them. You're not in some street fight trying to win. Your goal is to end the whole thing quickly, without losing even a tiny bit of your dignity. If someone mocks your job or your ambitions, calmly say, "That's fine. Not everyone needs to understand the path I'm on." If someone deliberately brings up a past failure, look them straight in the eye and say, "That's true. I made a mistake, and I'm grateful that I know how to learn from it." If someone makes an awkward joke about your personal life, just shrug and say, "I'm completely comfortable with who I am right now. That's probably why I'm so hard to shake." Think about it. Is there any anger or malice in any of those lines? Not at all. But every single one of them gives off such a calm confidence that almost nobody can break it down or argue with it. They're not weak excuses. They're not a bitter counterattack either. They're simply you standing there, completely still, as solid as a fortress wall that doesn't budge no matter what garbage gets thrown at it. And remember one last key point. After you give your response, never stand there, waiting foolishly for their reply. Just look them in the eye for one brief moment, then calmly let the conversation move on. Because here's the simple truth. You didn't speak up to beg for their recognition or approval. You've already accepted and defined yourself, man. Now, I need to tell you about something that most people usually skip over. And trust me, this might just be the most important part of this whole video. If someone just humiliated you in public, pause for a second and honestly ask yourself this question. Is this the first time this specific person has pulled this move on you? If the answer is no, then the real problem isn't actually that awkward comment they just made. The real problem is what they've learned about you over time. Bullies never pick their targets randomly. They're actual hunters. At first, they toss out an awkward joke and you stay silent. Next time, they criticize you harder and you just laugh it off. Bit by bit, they land on one truth. Crossing this person's line costs me nothing. Might as well go all in. That's why the tactics I just shared with you earlier are extremely important, but they only solve half the answer. The other half, the part that decides whether you end this pattern for good, comes down to what you do after the moment is over. After you've walked away with your head held high and your dignity fully intact, find that person alone. No anger, no bitter warning, not one bit of extra emotion. Just complete clarity. Look them straight in the eye and say it plainly. What just happened can never happen again. I'm telling you this straight up out of respect, but let me be clear. There won't be a next time. No long speech, no childish threats, just straight up clarity. And you know what? Clarity is the language of confidence. Ironically, it's also the one language bullies fear and understand the best, because their whole lives, they've only ever hunted people who scare easily. But after today, you are no longer on that easy target list. When you handle things this way, something amazing happens. People automatically stop testing you. Not because you became mean or scary, but because you stopped giving off the vibe of prey. You stand there calm, clear, and unwilling to back down. You've rewritten, with your own hands, the entire unspoken rulebook on how the world is allowed to treat you. Before this video wraps up, I want you to remember this for good. Dignity and respect were never a gift someone wraps up and hands over to you. They're a solid boundary that you build yourself. You don't need to be the loudest person in the room to earn respect. You just need to be the steadiest one, the one who holds on tightest to their own truth. The person who just tried to bring you down was really only betting on your panic, your usual awkward silence, or your out-of-control anger. They were betting on the old version of you. But the person sitting here who just listened to every single word of this video definitely isn't that old version anymore, right? Out of the 5 tricks shared today, which one do you think is the toughest, the one that takes the most guts to actually pull off in real life? Leave a comment down below and let Dex know. And if you found real value in this video, don't hesitate to hit that share button and send it to a friend who needs to hear this. You never know, you might just help them save a really bad day. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep going on this journey together. See you all next time. Stay strong, stay chill.